When I read this article in the German magazine, Musicians magazine, about classical concertos, there's a little footnote that says, these viola concertos from William Herschel are to be found in the music library of the University of California, Berkeley. I thought, well, that's interesting. I don't know anyone who knows these viola concertos. I don't know anyone who knows that Herschel was a composer. And my mother went to UC Berkeley. Let's find out about this. So it wasn't long after that, on a trip to the States, that we stopped and visited friends in the Bay Area in San Francisco. And because I was born and grew up in that region, I have a lot of friends, in particular in music, who are interested in this subject as well. And one of my close friends in San Francisco had some connection to librarians or librarian in particular at UC Berkeley, and he called someone, and so it turned out, he said, yes, these are in the archives on microfilm. And I said, well, would it be possible to get a copy of these manuscripts? Well, you'd have to come here and, make copies from this microfilm. And I don't think I had the time to do that, but somehow we managed to find a way that they were very helpful and cooperative in making copies. I managed to get copies of the manuscript material from these 3 viola concertos from the microfilm. And of course, the first problem that arose was that these were more or less illegible. I mean, they were legible to me, but not legible. I couldn't put them on a music stand and ask someone to play them. I had to transcribe them into modern notation and then see whether they were worth playing or not. Based on this article written by a well-known musicologist, I thought, well, he must know what he's talking about. So there must be some merit to this. So I was optimistic. And the further I went on with this project, the more excited I became about it. And I enlisted the help of friends and musician colleagues here in the region. And we got a harpsichord player to help decipher what's called the figured bass. And then in Siegen, which is close by here, Ulrich Stutzel, who leads the church choir and is the organist at the church there, the Martini Church, Martini Kirche. He helped me organize the first performance of Herschel's D minor viola concerto. And this was so enthusiastically received that I decided, well, let's do the F major concerto too. So this project started growing. And at some point, I managed to complete the 3rd viola concerto, which was unfinished. And I took original material from Herschel, repeated some passages, and added, I think, 1 or 2 bars of my own material to make harmonic sense in a linking fashion, and completed the 3rd concerto. And then I put together a program of all 3 viola concertos, and including one of Herschel's symphonies. Herschel composed 24 symphonies, which are more or less unknown. A number of them have been performed, and I think 6 of them have now been recorded, but they're not generally well known. And from these 24 symphonies, I found one, number 8, C minor, which I thought was really special. And I put together a program interspersed with narration from the diaries of William and Caroline, with interesting anecdotes from their daily lives. Basically, Caroline's diary is William and Caroline's diaries, but I think she did the writing mostly. And the whole thing was sandwiched in between movements from this string symphony in C minor, number 8. It turned out to be a very successful program. And the West German radio, WDR in Cologne, asked me if I would be interested in doing a live broadcast condensed into 1 hour of this program. The program was entitled Herschel and His Discoveries, and it was presented as part of a series called Night Music. And I was very fortunate to have an ensemble from Dresden, from the famous Staatskapelle Orchestra in Dresden, called the Dresdner Kapellsolisten, and they came to Cologne. First I went to Dresden. We rehearsed in the famous Semper Opera. The opera house in Dresden was very beautiful. We rehearsed there for 3 days, I seem to recall, and then they came to Cologne and we did a day of studio recording of the viola concertos, and then that evening we did this live broadcast with a live audience in the big hall at the radio in Cologne, and turned out to be very successful.